Pakistan is a country situated at the crossroads of Western Asia and the Middle East. Its population are predominantly Muslim, but within the country's hills and breathtaking valleys bordering with Afghanistan live the Kalasha people. Said to be the remnants of the population of Kafiristan, the Kalasha are thought to be the descendants of the army of Alexander the Great, also known as the Lost Tribe. Their history within the confines of Pakistan can be traced back more than 4,000 years. It was around this time that metals, mainly copper and bronze, found their way into the daily lives of the general population of Pakistan. Today, from humble beginnings in Pakistan and South Asia, metal in all its forms can be found everywhere. From kitchen cutlery to modern-day motorcars, and from complex structures to space travel. It seems our modern world relies totally on metals. It is thought the first metal to be melted down and then formed into a shape was copper. Later, gold, silver and other metals were used to make ornamental objects, including figurines and basic jewelry. For a time, bronze, which is an alloy and a combination of both copper and tin, became more popular amongst the metalworkers and their customers for making a whole variety of objects, both ornamental and practical. One of the oldest bronzes ever found in Pakistan is that which is known as the Dancing Girl. This prehistoric figure is thought to have been made around 4,000 years ago in the Indus Valley civilization city of Mohenjo-daro. The statue was excavated by British archaeologist Ernest Mackay in the HR area of Mohenjo-daro in 1926. It is now in the National Museum, New Delhi, having been allocated to India at the partition of India in 1947. Around the same time as the precious statue was made, it was realized that bronze was strong enough for making tools and basic weaponry, and so became the metal of choice for swords and knives. Bronze had come of age, and its popularity lasted for more than 2,000 years. Of course, it's still a very popular metal today, especially with sculptures from all over the world. In time, techniques known as metal casting and forging became the two most common activities of the metalworker, who today might be better known as a blacksmith. As metalworking fast became a thriving industry in many parts of the world, it is in Pakistan that we now see both traditional handmade metal objects and fully mechanized manufacturing processes working side by side. In some regions of Pakistan, notably the Indus Valley, it is known that ancient people were heavily involved in the practice of both metal casting and metal forging. Evidence dates back to more than 4,000 years, when the casting of copper and bronze was a routine practice amongst the people of Mohenjo and Harappa. Both the casting and forging of metals requires very different activities. With casting, it's all about making a mold which can be made from stone or clay and then pouring the hot melted liquid metal into it. The early versions of this method involved creating a wax model and then covering the model in clay, a process known as lost wax casting. When the clay hardened, the wax could be melted and removed, leaving a vacant space for molten metal to be added. Then, when everything had cooled down sufficiently, the clay could be broken away from the cast and the internal object removed. Originally, this method was mainly used to create religious and ornamental objects, plus many types of coins and personal adornments. Many of these ancient bronze artifacts have been discovered and unearthed over the centuries, allowing us to date with some accuracy the period from which they belong. Increasingly, during the passage of time, other alloys such as brass, which consists of copper and zinc, were being used for casting a range of more practical items such as vases, jars, afterbars, and chalices. These softer metals were ideal for engraving too, which allowed the local craftsmen to personally embellish and even customize their works. One of the earliest brass objects ever discovered is that of Shakyamuni, an image of a seated Buddha and believed to be from the Gandhara region of northwest Pakistan. It is estimated to have been made between the 1st and the middle of the 2nd century. During this time, the historical city of Peshawar quickly gained recognition as one of the most productive in terms of decorative brassware anywhere within southern Asia. Here, the brass was known as miz, and those that worked with it were called mizgar. The main handcrafted brass products that are still produced in Peshawar are cooking utensils and water storage vessels. While brassware became very popular in the region, the old traditional coppersmiths still thrived amongst the non-Muslim communities who much preferred copper to brass. Peshawar and also Lahore both developed into major centres for the working of both metals. While the practice of casting metals such as brass, copper, gold and silver began to take off as an art form, especially due to the complex engraving and enamelling techniques known as Muradubadi, the forging of metals was heading in a slightly different direction. The forging of metal is a technique that involves heating the metal until it is red hot and pliable. The metal worker is then able to hammer the pieces into a variety of shapes for the purpose of creating very different types of products, namely tools and weapons. The demand for more useful metal products hailed the arrival of cast iron and ultimately steel working. A steelsmith or blacksmith could make items such as shoes for horses and tools for work in the land, such as plough blades, sickles, scythes and shovels. Chains and bars were also useful items, alongside door hinges, stirrups and nails. As metalworkers perfected their craft, they turned their attention to iron, which was a much more resilient material suitable for making a wide range of practical objects. It's because of iron that weapons became more sophisticated and body armor was to become a common sight on the battlefield. A large variety of products could be made from steel, and the growing demand quickly helped to make the blacksmith the most important person in any village. So much so that he became the highest paid of all the metal workers. Ancient blacksmiths of Pakistan and South Asia understood the techniques of making steel harder by adding carbon-rich materials, such as charcoal, to the molten steel. This became widely known as wood steel, and was highly valued for its tensile strength and durability. It was later to become known throughout Europe as Damascus steel. Damascus steel quickly found favour with swordsmiths and armourers due to its unique properties, which allowed for extremely sharp and very hard-wearing blades. However, the process of producing high-quality Damascus steel was costly and very time-consuming, which led to its demise towards the end of the 18th century. As Damascus steel gave way to more modern methods of steelmaking, the whole steel industry was revolutionized by the introduction of machinery, which led to industrial-scale production. During its time under British colonial rule, Pakistan became a major producer of steel in the South Asia region and continued to produce large quantities of metal products, which it exported all over the world. Pakistan has a proud and undisputed reputation for its skilled craftsmen and high-quality metal products, to the benefit of local communities and the country's economy as a whole. In recent years, the metal industry in Pakistan has become renowned for its recycling of metal products. Metal recycling, including aluminium, brass, steel and copper, has enabled many small enterprises to grow and flourish, providing vital jobs for local people living within some of the smaller towns and villages. Scrap metal has become big business in Pakistan, where it is collected, melted down and reused to produce a vast array of modern metal components. These include automotive parts for the car and agricultural industries, scaffolding and structural steel for the construction industry, plus hand tools and kitchen utensils. The recycling of metal products is highly cost-effective, and of course, it's environmentally sustainable. Plus, it significantly reduces the amount of waste. While it appears there will always be a need of metal products, Pakistan, with its established smelting works, metal refineries and factories, together with its army of small to medium enterprises, is still well placed to serve current market demands. It is estimated that the metal recycling operation alone in Pakistan offer full-time employment to more than 100,000 people. However, metalworking in Pakistan is undergoing major changes. Working with copper, brass and bronze is now in steady decline in Pakistan as demand for products manufactured from these particular metals has fallen sharply. On the other hand, iron ore has become the most profitable and most in-demand metal due to it being the base material for making steel. Iron ore is found in various regions of Pakistan, including Nawkundi, Chinior, Calabar, with the largest region being Haripur. Sadly, today, the Pakistani steel industry, which once generated around 5% of GDP and employed some 200,000 people, is in trouble. Since 2015, many of Pakistan's steel mills, with their combined capacity for producing 1.1 million tons of steel per annum, has become inoperative. Politics has played a major part in the industry's downfall, and the private sector seems reluctant to take up the challenge. Meanwhile, cheaper steel has been flooding the world markets from countries like China, Japan, and India. The traditional craft of steel production still lives on in Pakistan, through the efforts of many artisan metal workers and blacksmiths who are still able to make a living from working with a whole range of different metals. To that end, the small to medium metalworking enterprises are still very much in business. In the towns and villages, skilled craftsmen continue to pass on their knowledge and vast experience to their apprentices, ensuring the metalworking industry, in one form or another, is in relatively safe hands, at least for the time being.